Hey, how's it? I'm about to get to these wonderful LA native bananas that I found, a friend of mine found deep in the watershed a long time ago, many years ago, and they could only see them from a way far distance, and they thought they were red bananas, but after learning more about them, turns out that they were LA bananas with the black trunk, which from a distance made it look like they might be Cuban reds. Now I am in the middle of the bush, you know, what the pig hunters like to call deep country. Although for those of us who lived on the mainland, deep country means, you know, hundreds and hundreds of miles of woods. Here it's just thick and it's very precarious. There's a lot of ditches, it's muddy, there's a lot of furrows and ravines that come down when it's raining heavy and cause hidden ditches. Like I'm standing over probably a couple foot drop right in front of me. So it's rough terrain. And why in the hell these LA bananas are way in the hell out here could only be from maybe hunters from the 70s or 80s who were coming up so much. Maybe they had a camp near here and they planted these, or they're original Hawaiian canoe bananas. And since we're surrounded by 99% invasives, maybe with the exception of the aluhe staghorn fern, none of this looked like this. None of this hillside looked like this at all hundreds of years ago. This is probably a lot of grass, koa wood, sandalwood, kopikos, you know, llama, alahe'e, native trees that might have existed back in these gullies, along with a lot of actual peely grass, which hardly exists anymore. So, you know, to dispel any criticism from any locals who, you know, have the ignorance to accuse me of fucking with their native bananas because I'm not born and raised native Hawaiian Kanaka, well, you know, nobody else is doing this. If I didn't come do this, these things wouldn't stand a chance. They got a couple more years at best, maybe a decade at best, and then they're going to be completely taken over by these weeds, ruined by corn weevil. You know, they've obviously suffering from sigatoka already. So somebody's got to come out, find these things, locate them, take a baby, bring it in town where we can grow it out in a safe place, make one baby, 100 babies, and then be able to get them back out to the community, get them back out to the watershed, and whatever we got to do to save these bananas, because maybe I ain't from here, but these things are important to me because these go beyond here. These go back long time, pre-contact, pre-Hawaiians getting to, you know, Hawaii. This is prehistoric. Are the bananas. And so this goes back to multiple cultures, multiple eras, multiple parts of the world. This is not just a Hawaiian thing, all right? But the Hawaiians did cultivate them so heavily that over 800 to 1,000, maybe 1,200 years, a lot of sub-varieties did happen, you know? And that's why I already have black, and I know of a second black out in the Pali Coast, and I want to see if this one behaves like the ones that I already have. So we're going to take a baby from this today and get it back out up to the ridge where I came from and all the way back out to town. Yeah, look. It just goes and goes. That's dense. This is dense. Even Mommy thinks it's dense, huh, Mommy? Huh, baby? Yeah. All right, we got up to them. It took about 5 minutes just to get 10 feet over here. Pretty dense. And of course, this is all, there's a glory bush and Coster's curse crawling up the banana, choking it out. And then the aluhe crawls up that and can crawl onto the banana and further kill it. Because at that point there's no recovery, it's dead. And it's got such bad corn weevil and or nematode that one of them already fell over and has since rotted. There's one little baby popping out of that corm there. Well, maybe two. There's a second one starting there. Oh, I guess that's a third. Yeah, there's a couple coming up from it. And then this one just literally fell over when I came up on it. And so, see, that's healthy root growth when they're white. You start to get into this and see it's white in the middle and dark on the sides. That could be nematode damage. And what's probably really causing this to suffer is, I'm sure there's some corn weevil in here. Almost inevitably some corn weevil in here. Although, when it's all covered in brush like this, sometimes the weevils don't find them as easy, but they're definitely going to have an effect on it. So, I am going to, I think, knock back some of this glory bush and try and get it off of these bananas. Buy them a little time. Break back some of this costers and some of the fern. And yeah, maybe we can buy these things 10, 20 more years by just pushing the invasives back a few feet. This is definitely looking like either some kind of nematode damage or it's just secondary rot from the initial corm. You see there's some live stuff down there, but a lot of black on the outside. But it's just live stuff on the inside. That's only going to harbor energy. It's not going to put roots out. Only this section here was going to put roots out from this point forward. Unless, of course, we cut this guy all the way back, dried it out, and replanted it. There's a good chance that this corn ball would make a new set of roots and find an outlet and work itself out. Well, I'm not seeing corn weevil damage yet. I mean, I could be wrong, but honestly, it's looking pretty good. So that would lead me somewhat to believe that the lack of roots and its general instability that caused it to fall right over when it pulled the plants away from it would suggest that there might be a serious nematode issue. Okay, now I'm actually going to take this guy to about there, so there's just a much better chance that it's not going to choke. Usually I've got my pruning saw with me, but it wouldn't fit in my bag today. So, rule of thumb, don't even get a bag that you can't fit a pruning saw in. Alright, so this is going to be my pared down keiki to take out, and when I get back I'm going to clean this root ball up even more, pretty much all the way down to the white, and I think I might even do a dip, a hot water dip and a bleach dip, a little bit of both. That way if there is a bad nematode in this soil, I'm not bringing it to my property to infect all my everything else. Alright, now we're gonna start the adventure back down through the woods and up the ridge and out and back to town. And for any of those who question how roots I am, I walk the woods barefoot. I come out here in all of this kind in my own bare 2 feet. Because honestly, you walk softer. You leave less of an impact. You feel the earth connected with you. You never have to have boots for this. No, boots have their place, but barefoot's more better. Okay, how to find my way out of here. Oh, look at these ditches down here. This is about a 7-foot drop and a 2-foot difference down to another one down there, and another one, and another one. It's the kind of thing you got to watch out for back here. One wrong step in the green waste, you know, fall down in a pit, just disappear all of a sudden. God forbid you got hurt, you couldn't call for nobody. Or your GPS can't get picked up because now you're down in the ground, buried. Up. Stuff can be kind of hard because it all looks the same. I'm trying to remember where you've been. I always try and break branches and do a little blazing as I'm coming down. Although at the same time, I like not leaving any trace. Big freaking albesias. I'm in a forest of strawberry guavas, paper bark eucalyptus, tulip tree, yellow holly, and strawberry guavas. Lantana, glory bush, calicoa. I think we're on the right path now. Oh, these woods are hard. There's all this aluhe. All the aluhe is up in between the strawberry guavas. And if I didn't come down here several months ago and clear a bunch of this already, this would be a real chore. Still a real chore. Back to the trail. All right. Oh. And it's not easy to see, but where we were It's right down behind the albizia in there. It's a little bit better. You're right down in there. It's still kind of hidden by an albizia tree, but yeah, we had to come down, go around behind it, and hook down onto it, so we didn't have to go through the ferns. All right, I'm going to show you guys kind of how I'm going to pair these out, because you want to discover your white corm underneath and get all the rot off so that you make sure no rot continues through to the inside of the core. Some of these little spots like that, you see it's traveling in. Probably better to get those entirely off. Corm weevil, the beetle, has a tendency to lay its eggs in this part, like right in the lower base of the stem. So corm weevils will lay their eggs in this zone and then start to core in and work around. And then if they hit the heart of the banana, because they will come up into the pseudostem, if they hit that little tiny heart, it's gone. It's totally done. So on these guys, now it always seems kind of drastic, but believe me, bananas can take this kind of abuse. It's pretty amazing, really. And if one were to ship bananas, you have to do this to avoid disease issues being spread state to state. And really, you know, looking at this particular keiki, the way that it has this ball here, and then it has like the root node going down that met the main corm. If you needed to, you could chop right here and this upper half would be fine. But if you can save the energy inside of this corm piece, then it just gives it more, gives the banana more overall energy to get going with. Okay. Now I'll end up doing a bleach dunk, and it doesn't hurt to do a boiling water dunk. But the bleach I think should be fine after paring down like this. And really, you know, part of the reason I'm doing this a little bit more excess, normally if the bananas were pretty healthy and then I was just going to throw them in the ground, I wouldn't do a lot of this, because if they were healthy, then you see that the roots are strong and you don't have corm weevil attacking the corm, and so you go, okay, well, you look pretty healthy. I think I can just throw you in the ground. Now, sometimes that backfires because you do that, and then it turns out there was a corn weevil, and then in the pot or in the ground, they just never really wake up. And then you'll go and move it one day, and you realize that that big base underneath is a big ball of mush. And sometimes in a pot, I've even seen it'll turn into a hollow in the pot because it all died. And sometimes it'll even leave like a little core of the banana just floating on top of the rot, like a bad apple core. The other thing you'll see too is a lot of the times the stem or the roots will draw an infection back into the corm. And so like these right here, this isn't corm weevil traveling through. These are just necrotic root stems that have brought the bacteria deeper into the corm following that little root. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, kind of wrap these up. Yeah, see, that could be mistaken for corn weevil right there, but I think that's just a root. Yeah, but you got to make sure. Yeah, see, no more underneath that, and that's just a root going back. That's a root going back. Those are roots going back. So I'll leave those alone. Maybe pull off some of this junk pseudo stem in case there's any weevils in it. And then I'm going to be putting these in pots. Normally this size I'd go straight in the ground, and I might actually just go straight in the ground with this one, but this one I'm definitely going to nurse in a pot first and get it off the ground. And then when it starts to respond and really show vigorous root growth, or not root growth, but stem growth, then it's ready to be hoolied out and put in a pot. And we're sitting beneath my original LAs. You see these black trunks. They're so gorgeous. All right, and so that's what these little guys will be someday too. Yeah, they're little worms.
They're worms. Okay.
So I got these paired up. Got some it's just chlorine bleach stuff that we got from the dollar store. And I'm just gonna, oh wow, look at that. Instantly colors it, huh? Just kind of work that around on there. And I'll give that a nice dip in a moment and get all that off. All right, been about 10 minutes. I'm just gonna wash some of that bleach off casually. And now, like I said, I'm gonna go pop this guy up. And I kind of been liking these hydroponics pots that I picked up at one of the restore places we have here, because see the area in this, it's wide but it's shallow, and one of my problems with a lot of pots is they're not wide enough for their depth in a lot of cases. Like they're tree pots, they're looking for the roots to go down to become tap roots, when really the bananas are going laterally more than anything. So the more lateral area you have, the better. That's why I don't like these little 6-inchers, because I mean, look at that. You right off the bat, like where? Like the minute the roots go out, they're going to hit a wall. So I think they're happier when they've got at least a little space, like my fingers here, to reach out. Because right about that time, they're going to be putting that new shoot up, and you're going to say, oh, okay, you're ready to go in the ground someplace and be okay. So let's see. I'm going to put a couple pieces of coconut down because it helps keep the drainage good. All right, so some little coconut husks, and then we can really start to shovel some dirt in, and we know that it's not going to be, when I get rains, it's such heavy rain that if I didn't do this, you'd just see a puddle sitting on top. Okay, now it's most of the way up. I'll just peg that guy right in the middle. And now we'll continue to top it off. And that's fine. I mean, you know, the head's going straight up. It's nice to like let it go the direction it's already been going, so make sure it's straight up. And no, that's excellent. And so in about 2 months, maybe 3, then they're going to be looking more like one of these guys here, right? Now, this is an Eholena, so it's got a little pink on it. But in about that time, and see here, I did break the rule, and I went with a 6-inch pot, but this keiki was so tiny, and it was just a little golf ball of a corm, so it met the size of the pot. You know, kind of the same thing with like this one that's been sitting here, I don't remember how long. I think this is an Eholena keiki, and it looks like it's not doing much, but just have faith. And if your banana isn't reacting and they're little tiny nubs, sometimes just peel this brown away and even break off the little rotten cap on top, split it back, and give it some place to go. Give that center a place to go, because once it kind of pushes through, then it's not trying to push out like the side so that it can continue up. So as much as that a moment ago looked like maybe it was dry or dead even and not doing anything, no, this thing's just perfectly fine. But in this stage, it's putting those roots out. And the minute it's got the roots out, it's going to bust out and start going up. Start looking like this guy here. Or even this thing, right? See, because this root ball had a bigger root ball. So I used one of these larger hydro pots. And see, it sat at this stage right here forever, and now, boom, explosion. So at this stage, this is safe to go in the ground, and you're not going to lose it. You're not going to weed whack it or walk over it, because it's obvious. As where even a little guy like this, or even this one you put in the ground, you know, it's easy to, all of a sudden you just backed over and stepped on it, or pushed the wheelbarrow over it or something. So let them get kind of big, at least kind of big, like that. All right. So this here is the last of the rack of the second LA rack I got. You can see pretty big bananas, but we're, what, a week and a half, 2 weeks out almost from taking this rack, when the very first ones above this, you know, they were up here somewhere, turned the first yellow. So this is the absolute bottom of that rack. And well, they might even make it to this weekend's farmer's market. They're just maybe quite there. I mean, they're not self-peeling. So, yeah, beautiful.